Hello everybody and welcome back to some Black Ops 6, where we're going to be talking about Black Ops 7. Yes, I know. I have no more footage of Black Ops 7, so otherwise I would be using that, but it'll be better to do it like this. But yeah, to give you an idea of where I'm at right now with COD as like a whole, obviously I've already talked about how I'm going to be covering this campaign. I'm basically be covering it starting on the first Wednesday of November. That's after the reveal of, or after the release of COD. And then obviously the casting of Frank Stone will be uploaded intermittently, not in between the two. You'll still be getting one every week from COD, but it'll basically be a thing where you'll be seeing casting of Frank Stone on either the Tuesday or the Thursday until it's done, and then when it's done, it's done. Because casting of Frank Stone's decently short, it's like 6 hours long, so that's fine. But I want to talk about Black Ops 7 in terms of my hopes for specifically zombies. I'm not going to say I'm not going to grind for the multiplayer camo. It's just the fact that I was hoping to grind out the multiplayer camo on BO6 in BO7s because carry forward, but obviously that's not being a thing anymore. That's not going to happen, so it makes it a little bummed out that I'm never going to have that camo, but maybe it gives me hope that the Warzone camo, maybe I can actually grind out the Warzone camo a little bit, maybe. Maybe I'll actually maybe I'll do a stream of me just playing multiplayer for the camo. Maybe sometime this week. But if you haven't already, go follow me over on the link in the description. Actually, it should be in the description anyway. That there's a link to the live streaming platform that is purple. That's rhymes with the console, most recent console made by Nintendo. Minus the 2. But I want to talk about specifically my wish list in terms of zombies as a whole. Because I haven't really been looking into too much, and my main wish is I just want the game to feel similar to Black Ops 6, but with improvements that Black Ops 6 was lacking, on top of things such as, like, making the camo grind for weapons that may have explosive rounds, or, like, general explosives, not be requiring headshots. So, like, example, the GS-45 equivalent, if there is one, has explosive rounds. I want to be not tied to headshots, so that way we're not doing what we did this time with the sniper and the GS-45. As well as, I just want the camo grind to not take forever, but still be a fun grind. And I just want overall the story to stay as consistently good as it has been. Because that's one thing I've been enjoying a lot about BO6's story, is I'm actually able to kind of keep up with it and keep track of it. As opposed to Cold War, where it felt not disjointed or just like confusing, but it was like I was losing it a lot. I think that's mainly because like Outbreak, but even an Outbreak was fun. We already have the next map revealed, and I want to say it's Astra Malorum. I think it's what it's called. Basically, it's basically translates to Stars of Evil in Latin. And I'm interested to see what it is. I have seen none of the leaks. I don't follow leaks because I don't like getting spoiled and stuff like that. Because I think it ruins the experience of playing the maps the first time blind like I do normally. And obviously I'm excited for Ashes of the Damned because I found out there are going to be intro cutscenes, at least there should be, for all of the maps. So I'll be seeing the intro cutscene for Ashes of the Damned on release day, because I haven't seen it yet, and I figured instead of watching it now, I'll watch it on release. As well as, obviously, experiencing a lot of the new mechanics and stuff like that, if there are any. But overall, let's just talk about more specific wish list things, I guess, in terms of mainly, like, gameplay, and that is, I really hope that they find a way of making the high round strategies not be reliant on things like traps, or have them be reliant on traps, but have it not be the only way. Because I think that's something that really was lacking, at least in BO6, was that it was either a camping strategy or a trap strategy. And while I'm okay with a trap strategy, I really hate it if it's the only way of making it work. Now, camping strategies, I'm not opposed to. I used to do it on Buried back in the day with the Paralyzer, so I'm not opposed to it. But I really want them to make it be more of a, you can do either or, neither is more effective than the other. Hell, I think the Shattered Veil... I think Shattered Veil and... I think the Reckoning are both camping strategies. The Tomb is a camping strategy as well, but I have seen some people saying that the trap strategy is decent if you know what trap you're running. Obviously, Liberty Falls is more of a trap strat, albeit it is camping as well. But I mainly just want the traps to become viable again, because I had a lot of... Honest to God, I had a lot of fun doing the Van Doren Farm Round 50. Which, if you haven't seen that already, I'll probably see if I can remember to put a card in the description for that. Or a card on screen for that. I did enjoy doing that. I know I didn't really seem that invested in it, but it's like, for me, high rounds aren't necessarily something I like doing. I'm not a massive high round player, personally. I'm more of like a story Easter egg type person. That's kind of what I prefer. But I do see what the appeal is in high rounds. It's something that is exhilarating about it if you have the attention span for it. For me, I just have the attention span for it. I have ADHD. I tend to get distracted. So if I'm doing high rounds, I need something to be going on along with it. That's why I think a lot of people like the camping or the trap strategies, because it requires you not to really do much. Now, I'm not going to... I kind of want a more traditional, like, rounding up type thing to work. But obviously I understand that zombies is getting more and more difficult in a lot of different ways. And doing effectively looping and porting strats isn't always the most efficient anymore. However, I definitely think that I wouldn't mind seeing that come back in some way. But I will say something I would love to see come back as well is more original wonder weapons, because that's one thing I have with BO6 that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It was really apparent when we got to the Tomb, which is unironically not the reason why I picked this map. I just kind of picked it because it was the one I felt like playing. The Tomb had the problem of having the Ice Staff, and only the Ice Staff. Now, don't get me wrong, Ice Staff's fun. I think it's my least favorite of the four, and I think it's the most overrated, so don't get me wrong. I'm okay with the staff coming back. However, in Black Ops 6, we had two original wonder weapons, that being the Beam Smasher and the Gorg Effects. Obviously, yes, we did have the Raygun Mark II variants that were unique, but we had two unique wonder weapons in a game where there's 6 maps. That means 33% of the maps have a unique wonder weapon. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm okay with having returning wonder weapons. I won't lie to you there. In fact, I think having the Wonder Waff in Shattered Veil was a very nice little touch. But I still would have loved to have a unique wonder weapon on top of the Wonder Waff. And obviously, Citadel had the unique wonder weapon too. I forgot about that. Citadel had the swords. So technically, 50% of the maps have a unique wonder weapon, and one of them was a melee wonder weapon, which I'm okay with, because that's one of, I think, that would be technically 4 of 5 unique melee wonder weapons we've had that are melee based, because the Crystal Axe, that was like a hybrid, so it's like weird. I guess primarily it was an axe, but still. Main thing I will say is I want the wonder weapons to remain unique. I have no idea what the Ashes of the Damned wonder weapon is. I'm surprised it's not the check gun again, given that it seems to be very Transit inspired. But I'm definitely curious to see if they're going to be trying to do more unique wonder weapons or variations of wonder weapons we've seen before. Like having the Mark II and the ray gun in the game, good. I like having at least one of or both. Now, would I be opposed to seeing a ray gun effectively Mark IV or Mark V? Because I think technically some people count the Ray K is technically the Mark IV in a lot of ways. Because it's weird, because the Ray K is on multiple maps in terms of it's on Firebase Z and Outbreak. And you can't have a ray gun and the Ray K, so it's like weirdly something like that. Some of the ray gun Mark II and the ray gun, you can't have both. So, and then obviously, I think the same thing applied to the Mark III and Gorod. I actually can't remember. It's been a while. So, I'm not opposed to them doing effectively a Mark V. Or maybe a more all-around, or maybe a more apt Mark IV. Hell, maybe even bring the Ray K back. I wouldn't mind with them bringing old wonder weapons back. For me, it's just... if they're going to bring an old wonder weapon back, do what they did with Shattered Veil and have it be a unique wonder weapon or have it be a returning wonder weapon at base, and then have it have unique variants like the Ray Gun Mark III or Mark II, or some of the Alpha Omega as well. Do something like that. Now, another thing I want to bring up on the topic of wonder weapons is I am convinced. I think most of the community is under the impression that the X-52 Resonator that we got as a special weapon, which I know I didn't do a video on. Special weapons I'm weird with when it comes to doing videos on. I know I did one on the nail gun, but I think for that one it was a very unique case, and I'm like, well, I'm falling behind on it, and I didn't really. I already had other videos I wanted to do. I kind of decided to just not do it. I know, seems kind of weird since I covered every single weapon otherwise other than the melee weapons, but it's one of those things where it's such a unique weapon that I would have to do a lot more work to cover, because it's effectively 4 weapons in one. Because you have the SMG, the fully auto SMG, you have the charge shot sniper, you have the shotgun, you have the 7-round burst. So it was a whole lot more of a project that I think I would have preferred not to do. That being said, though, I think the entire community is convinced, and I'm on the side that Treyarch basically kind of lied to us, that the Resonator is in fact a cut wonder weapon that was put into multiplayer as a special weapon when it was supposed to be the Wonder River Shattered Veil. I am of that belief personally. I'm not gonna say, oh, Treyarch is lying to you, blah, 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 blah. I'm just of the belief that, yeah, no, this is definitely the idea of what they had for a cut wonder weapon, or this is just the most weird coincidence possible. I'm not gonna say it is a coincidence, or I'm not gonna say that it isn't the wonder weapon, but I'm like, no, yeah, this is probably an original concept where they decided to bring the Mark II back. Regardless of this, though, I still would like to see more unique wonder weapons, because of the fact of they know how to make some good wonder weapons. I know the idea of wonder weapons is it feels like we're running low, but then when you think they pull something out of their butt that is like, oh, this is amazing. Example being the Gorg effects. I thought we were going to be getting another returning wonder weapon, like maybe the Cerberus, or something like that, but we ended up getting a unique one that, in my opinion, is probably one of my new favorites design-wise. Execution-wise and actual gameplay, I think it is pretty much up. It's at least top 5, but design-wise, whoo, peak. Plus, that quest is very fun. Albeit a little bit more difficult when you're a little rusty, like I was when I first tried to do it again. But that being said, I will say that I have enjoyed the wonder weapon offering in BO6. I'm excited to see what we have in BO7, both for new and returning, if there are any returning ones. If I had to ask for one wonder weapon to return, though, I know it's a one that people always ask for, and I know it's a lot more of a reach. Genuinely, I would love to see the Sliquifier or something along the lines of the Sliquifier come back, if only because it's such a fun melee. It's such a fun weapon. Alternatively, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing other wonder weapons from other games come back that we haven't seen since their release, like, example, the Mark III, or Paralyzer, for example, because there's not a jet gun. Maybe bring back the Paralyzer and the Sliquifier. Give them their time in the sun on a new map, maybe with, like, a new variation. Or, hell, maybe even bring back some BO3 wonder weapons, since we did a BO2 one that's a fan favorite. But yeah, like maybe something in general that would be kind of fun would be to have some more returning wonder weapons. Maybe, again, bring back the Mark III. Maybe bring back the, I guess, actually, technically, Revelations, they have unique wonder weapons. The Thunder Gun and the Apothicon Servant. I'm not saying bring back the Apothicon Servant. Don't. I'll be honest, don't. Please don't. I know that thing's cool. It's probably one of the most cool designed wonder weapons ever, especially since you get to fist it. Don't. Please don't bring that back. I'm not saying it's because it's bad. It's one of those ones where it's like, balancing, that thing is going to break the balance of the game very quickly. I wouldn't mind it if it was like a field upgrade or something like that, or maybe even like a score streak, like the Mangler Cannon. But as its own wonder weapon, no. Maybe. I don't know. It depends on if they balance it in a way that makes it so it's not overpowered as high hell as it was in BO3. I'm trying to think other BO3 wonder weapons. KT4, I'd love to see the KT4 come back. That thing was one of my favorites from BO3. Hell, bring back, maybe bring back one of the bows. You brought back one of the stats. Bring back the fan favorite bow. Bring back the, ironically, oh my god, it would be so funny if only, it would be so funny if only for the bit. Please just bring back the fire bow just so Noah has to do a tutorial on the fire bow finally. That'd be so funny. That'd actually be so funny. Treyarch, I'm not saying, hey, Treyarch, bring back a wonder weapon specifically because it would be funny for a joke. But Treyarch, bring back a wonder weapon because it would be funny for a joke. But also, like, maybe even bring back some Wonder Weapons for BO4. Bring back maybe the Death of Ryan. Maybe the Kraken, my favorite wonder weapon of all time. Maybe bring back the Alice's Annihilator, but rename it to something different. Maybe bring back, well, maybe not the gauntlets, because those, well, actually, you could do the gauntlets, but I don't know, if they would have to choose one of them, personally, Charon, because I love Charon. I love Charon as a Greek character, because if you don't know, part of the reason why I love the Chaos Story so much is a lot of the mythology from it was very nice, but when we got to Ancient Evil, oh, there's the reason why it's my favorite Chaos Story map, even if I don't like the Easter egg that much. But yeah, I would love to see them bring back more wonder weapons if they're coming from a game that hasn't had that wonder weapon come back. So again, I think of BO3's Mark III. I think of BO3's KT4 or something like that. Something that hasn't been seen in a while. Like the jet gun was very nice to see come back. So it was like, I've always said the jet gun's a very cool concept weapon. It just in practice sucked, and in usage sucked. But I think now that it came back and it has its own way of working, I think it's very nice. Hell, I would love to see them do maybe even more of like classic weapons that we've had in the past come back, and have them be reskinned as wonder weapons. So like the Rift E9 was a very popular weapon in Revelations. Maybe have that come back as a, maybe not as a wonder weapon, just as a multiplayer weapon, and have it be very, very powerful like a wonder weapon in Zombies. Maybe not to the power of a wonder weapon, but you get the idea. Bring back some weapons from older games, since we have a lot of BO2 representation. Maybe bring back some old BO2 weapons that were decently powerful that never got to see in Zombies. I'm trying to think of other things that they could do. Like off the top of my head, that would make sense. Hell, if we wanted to really do something fun, bring back the DIE, the die from Cold War. Because that thing was very fun. I always found that thing very, very interesting weapon. Even just that base. Even without the upgrades, I always found it very fun. Because that shockwave cannon was very, very fun. I always found that weapon. Every single time I used it, and every time I shot it, I'm just like, oh yeah, it's just a thunder gun, but it's a more my speed thunder gun. Because I've always loved that thing. But yeah, just overall, I just want to see more unique ideas when it comes to not just the map design, but also the map design and aura. I know, kind of cringe, but so far, all the maps of BO6 have this very nice vibe to them that I really like. The Tomb has a very, not Chaos Story vibe, but a very underground, infested tomb. Gee, I wonder why. But it has a vibe that it kind of sticks to. So Demore has a very castle medieval vibe. Shattered Vale has a very, like, hidden away mansion with a secret that's buried beneath it, that being Sam. The Reckoning is a tower that's basically, a tower that's falling apart. Terminus is an island under siege. Liberty Falls is a town under siege. Like, all the vibes of these areas are very nice. But they need to stay consistent. I think the Tomb, having its dark secret being the door to nowhere, is very, very good. I think it's a very fun, unique little thing, and I know a lot of people aren't a massive fan of the Tomb. I personally really like the Tomb, if only because the vibe and the aura that this map gives off, and just the kind of mystery of it before it came out was very interesting. Don't get me wrong, small map, very small map. In my opinion, probably the smallest map we've gotten in terms of a main non-filler map. In terms of like a non-survival map, I guess, is technically the better word I'm looking for. I guess Van Dorn Farms is obviously very small, but obviously that's spiral maps, so it doesn't count. But, that being said, again, I definitely think a lot of people... I think the tomb is overhated. I definitely understand the dislike for the tomb, but I think there's a lot of fun stuff in the tomb that I feel like people don't give enough credit towards, and I think it's one of those little... This may not be great, but it's good. You know? Like, for me, I find maps that are not as fun to be sometimes fun if you know what you're doing. Like, in my opinion, my favorite BO3 maps is that's a boat. That should tell you all you should know about how I kind of feel about certain maps. In my opinion, though, the tomb's definitely, like, if I had to put it on my tier list that I made a while back, probably A tier with Liberty Falls and Citadel. Citadel's definitely very high A tier, like, the top of A tier. The only reason why it's not A tier is because it feels kind of empty outside of the Easter egg, and the Easter egg is very difficult. Because you have to do all of the swords, unlike with other elemental quests where you only have to do one. Which I think it adds to the difficulty. I guess Origins you had to do all of them, but after Origins you only ever had to do one of the Wonder Weapons if there was more than one, and they were all elemental. You always had to at least build one. Example, Darius and Drak, you only needed to build one bow. Typically most people did Wolf or Lightning. I usually did Wolf because Wolf was my favorite. I did do Void occasionally because Void was fun. Void's always a good one, and Firebow's just annoying. Obviously, there's, I'm trying to think of other ones. The Ray Gun Mark IIs on Alpha Omega, you only ever needed to do one. Obviously, the Gauntlets you had to do all four, but that was obviously because you kind of had to. For the sake of the Easter egg, but it's like, I think there's only 3 maps we've had to do all 4 elemental wonder weapons for. If my memory serves me right. The Origins, Citadel, and Ancient Evil, right? I might have to ask some other people about that. I feel like it's only 3, which I think, given the fact that we've had, I'm gonna pop this and maybe just go nuts with the chainsaw for a second. I think given the fact that we had 3 maps of where you've needed all 4 elemental water weapons, and they're all probably the most difficult Easter eggs to solo, I think that's at least a good track record. But in terms of having multiple elemental water weapons that you can solo, typically they're easier, which is weird to say. Now, I obviously have a very big take that I want to bring up, and that is, I want the Easter eggs to be difficult, but not, like, impossibly hard on solo. Because I am a solo player. I've always said I prefer playing solo, if only because I don't like having the basically, I don't want to necessarily say it sound insulting to other people I play with, but I don't like being either the backpack or being backpacked. Don't get me wrong, it can be fun playing with friends, but if there is a clear, like, someone's being backpacked, or I'm backpacking someone, that being basically just being carrying. I like saying backpack because it's funnier, because that's basically what it is. I definitely feel a little bad because it's like, oh, this is, like, when I'm playing with people for fun, that's fine. But if I'm doing the Easter egg and somebody's very clearly lagging behind them in terms of both the game and skill, that's when I'm starting to feel, okay, now I just feel bad. They're not really enjoying the game because I'm carrying them, and I'm having to do basically the work of 2 people, or 3 people, or 4 people, very rarely, in a game where I'm by myself, basically. Now, that being said, I still would like the Easter eggs to be easier for a player, but doable and not stressful single player or solo. Example being, the Tomb is probably the easiest Easter egg to do for solo in terms of on paper. In execution, that boss fight is very difficult and kind of scary. But even then, that boss fight's still doable solo. I've done it once on Directed, and I've attempted it once on normal, and I've gotten to the final stand and died because I ran out of ammo. So it's like, I could do it solo. I easily could. But something like Terminus, for example, I'm dead. I'm going down. Yep, I'm dead. Because I forgot to buy a self-revive. But something like Terminus, I've gotten to the boss fight solo once and died within the first phase because of how difficult that fight is. Similarly, Citadel, never gotten to the boss fight. Usually die during making the swords. Also, the camera's not tracking me because my room has very low light right now. Shattered Veil, I've gotten to... Shattered Veil, I don't even think I've gotten past the paintings, because I really haven't done Shattered Veil solo that much. Actually, now I think of you, technically you need to build all the ray guns, but that's 3, so technically it doesn't count. I would say that counts too, so that's 5. Then 5 maps we need to build all Wonder Weapon variants, if there is any. And then... But yeah, I'm thinking of like, I'm going back to what I was saying. I prefer personally to prefer to play solo and have like Terminus, it's very difficult, right? Citadel, having on past, making all the swords. I think I got to like the orb step once. Then the Tomb, obviously I've gotten to the boss fight and gotten to Final Stand once. Shattered Veil, I've gotten to... I think I've gotten as far as the paintings. And then the Reckoning, I think I've gotten to... I want to say I got to the... I want to say the Casimir step, maybe a little bit after that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I got fairly far in. That being said, though, I think I'm going to end the video here. Just generally, my wish list is just more unique Wonder Weapons, map vibe to be consistent and have the same feeling all throughout, and just keep the story consistent with where it is, because I really am enjoying the story. I haven't really seen much on the story of BO7, so I'm excited. But I'm excited to hop in. We are about a week away from launch. It'll be a week as of tomorrow, or maybe today, depending on when this goes up. This should be going up on either Thursday or Friday. I don't know. But yeah, I'll see you guys next video or live stream of whatever I send to make. Everybody, stay safe.